Good morning, everyone. My name is Toni, and I want to welcome you to today's webinar. I have a little bit of a cold right now, so I apologize ahead of time if I start clearing my throat. I'm going to do my best to move smoothly through this presentation. So I got really exciting information to share with you. In fact, I'm going to be giving you proven strategies for building the kind of lifestyle, career, and future that you've been yearning for. I want to take you through a process that will help you keep dreaming. And I want to give you proven process for getting from where you are to where you want to be. These are proven strategies that I'll be sharing are already being used by top achievers around the world. People who have succeeded widely in business, philanthropy, sports, entertainment, science, and more. They got awesome lifestyles, terrific relationships, fascinating causes that are important to them, and all the money they need. And of course, they got the freedom of making their own schedule to focus on the things they really want to do. I really want that for you too, which is why I'm happy to have you with me today to hear this proven formula. It's just a matter of following the steps. There are 4 steps in all. And if you had a chance to download and print the workbook that is included with this free webinar, you'll see that there are worksheets that you can do on your own time for each of the steps. So let's get started. The first step to creating a different future is actually an equation that changes everything. E plus R equals O, which stands for event plus response equals R. Before I learned this equation, I responded to life events as they came up. If I got a flat tire, I responded with frustration. If my bank account was in trouble, I was miserable. If it was bumper-to-bumper traffic when I was running late for a meeting, I blamed the traffic. That was until I learned this equation for responding differently to life events when they came up. And here's the reality. Events just happen. Often you can't control them because they materialize as a result of specific situations, other people's emotions, timing, the economy, the weather, and a million other details that are outside of our control. The truth is, events just happen. But most people, when faced with events, they feel harassed and stressed. And they'll do anything just to make the situation go away. Believe me, I know. I used to be there. And that's a reactionary, and unfortunately, it often produces an outcome that you don't want. So what's the first inclination when we are faced with an event? We tend to blame the event for the bad outcome. Unfortunately, blaming the event for producing a negative in your life puts all the power outside of your control. There's nothing you can do about external events. They just happen. It is a fact. That's reality. So the only way to get a good outcome is to respond in a way that will bring about an outcome that you want. So today, the first step in this life-changing formula that I've been talking about is to take responsibility for how you respond to events, mishaps, and catastrophes. But especially, this is very important, especially how you're going to respond to opportunities that come up. This doesn't mean that you have to take responsibility for the event itself. That is usually out of our hands. But how you respond is 100% within your control. And it is the one leverage point where you can change what you get out of life. So taking more responsibility for your responses is the first and most important step to creating more success in our lives. You can be thoughtful and deliberate, or you can be frustrated and reactive and emotional. It's always your choice. How you respond is always your choice. And what's so terrific about this concept is that it puts the control back in your hands. This is especially important when opportunities come up, because opportunities that will get you ahead, I'm sorry. Sometimes when they come up, what people do is to react emotionally and even deny the opportunity that comes up. They complain that timing isn't right, or that they're not ready, or that they require a lot of work to respond to the opportunity, or they don't have the money right now. You'll be surprised all the complaints that I hear from people when opportunities arise and they don't take steps to get what they want. Sorry, I had a little bit of technical difficulties with my slides. Another important part of taking responsibility and not being a victim in life is watching out for something that I call yellow alerts. Yellow alerts are little events or comments or recurrent situations that you notice that act as clues that something is happening or is about to happen, and for things not to go in our favor, and we tend to ignore them. So here's an example. If I hire Sarah as my personal assistant, and 2 months later she says, I'm thinking about marrying a wonderful guy who lives in the Bahamas. And I ignore that. Then a month later, Sarah says, oh my God, I'm falling in love with this guy. And you know what? I think I just hate how expensive it is to live in San Diego. Then a few weeks later, I see her buying bridal magazines and then looking at on the internet for real estate in the Bahamas. Then all of a sudden, Sarah quits and I am surprised, I'm prepared, and then scrambling to find another admin. And it's all because I was not paying attention to those yellow alerts that Sarah was giving me all along. There are a lot of yellow alerts in your life. Like, for example, your teenager comes home late, night after night, with a rank smell on his clothes. Or senior executives from your corporate office have been repeatedly visiting your department with no explanation. Or your biggest client has been giving you projects that are ideal, has been giving projects to other people that are ideal for you. And you do ask yourself, well, I wonder what's going on, but you don't want to say anything because that will be uncomfortable. Unfortunately, because mature conversations, inquiries, and taking action are inconvenient or uncomfortable, we tend to deny those yellow alerts rather than act upon them in time. And the truth is that almost always we are given clues that things are coming. We, we are not victims here. There's always alerts that we're just not paying attention to them. I want to direct your attention right now to 2 different exercises and the free workbook that was included with today's class. If you don't have the workbook yet, you can download it after the webinar is over by going to the link that was in your confirmation email when you registered for this webinar. You won't need the workbook right now, but to get the most benefit of this class, please do the exercise sometime this week. The first exercise I want to explain is something called difficult or troubling situation analysis. I have found this exercise really helpful in the past for me. And the reason is just like when we're talking about unexpected events, we also experience ongoing traveling situations from time to time. It's just part of life. We can't deny it. So no matter how well you prepare to avoid these hardships, they sometimes just simply happen and they come up. And if you don't address them, they can trouble you for years. It is way more easier to resolve the situation and then move on than try to avoid it. So what kind of situations am I talking about? For example, a fight you have with your sibling or your son, and it's been years and you're still not talking to each other. A financial difficulty that's getting worse and worse every day. A health condition that that's annoying and you've been avoiding. A tense atmosphere at the office. That sneaking suspicion that your spouse is being unfaithful. All those situations that we're dealing and just ignoring in our life. The key here is to respond to the event. Whether that event is sudden or long-standing, you just have to make the commitment to resolve it so you can move on to create better outcomes in the future. The difficult or troubling situation analysis exercise will help you get past the current situation so you can focus on your success again. You can focus on what you really want in your life and you're not distracted by these little events. The exercise in the workbook has full instructions and you will be able to do it on your own. But essentially, it will ask you to analyze the payoffs or benefits of keeping the situation the way it is, the negative cost of keeping it the way it is, and what part are you playing in the situation. And of course, what actions can you take or who can you ask for help so you can move on. Please do not fail to respond to a troubling situation just because it's easier, more convenient, less uncomfortable, less confrontational, keeps the peace, or it doesn't require taking risks. Just take action. Don't allow a negative outcome be part of your life. In the same way, you don't want to fail to respond to yellow alerts because it's easier or more convenient or less confrontational. There's a second exercise in your workbook called Why Are You Pretending Not to Know? If you're experiencing a negative outcome in your life, perhaps you're ignoring the fact or excusing your part in the problem. To help you identify areas to take corrective action, the exercise will ask you to examine each area of your life and determine if there's a problem that you're ignoring or creating. You might be ignoring something to do with your health, with your money, or your family. or your lifestyle or career. Whatever it is, this exercise will help you respond to all the yellow alerts before something disastrous occurs. So don't forget, after the seminar, take the time and do the exercise. The next critical step in this proven formula that I introduced at the beginning of the webinar is that you have to decide what you want. One of the most amazing phenomena you will ever experience as you incorporate this formula into your daily life is the unexpected phone call, the windfall of financial benefit, or the uncanny new acquaintance that brings you exactly what you want or need in order to achieve your goals. It's almost as if you were planning. Perhaps it's the universe rewarding you for taking action, or by harnessing all the its forces at your disposal. Or perhaps you just work so hard that you're finally seeing the outcome of your work. But more probably, as research now believe, it may seem to be a matter of your subconscious mind focusing on and recognizing opportunity when it arrives. Whatever the explanation, it really doesn't matter. The reality is that what you want wants you. Your goals, desires, and needs are patiently waiting to gravitate towards you once you decide what you truly want. The main reason why most people don't get what they want is that they haven't decided what it is they want. They haven't defined their goals exactly in clear and compelling detail. After all, how else can your mind know where to begin looking, seeking, and hearing if you don't give it specific instructions or goals of how to achieve it? There's a very powerful technique for helping you define what you want in vivid detail. And I'll be talking about this technique in just a moment. But before defining the ideal life you want for yourself, here's a word of caution. Make sure what you want is what you really want for yourself, not what you believe other people want for you, not what you believe is important, or what you think the world wants for you, or what your mom wants for you. Whatever you want, make it your own. Make it anything that comes from your heart. Please, please, please do not live anybody else's dream. Unfortunately, the sad reality is most people, they simply aren't honest with themselves. If they were going to realize that all their shoes are almost less interesting and more of a hassle than what they really want to accomplish. Here's an example. Many people who have become social media influencers or industry experts were working dull jobs and following a career that other people thought it was fantastic, but their life didn't really become thrilling and fulfilling or meaningful or even lucrative until they started doing what they really wanted to do, like their own blog, consulting with a business, writing a book, whatever it was that they were dreaming about. Once they started working on it, life changed for them and all the opportunities showed up, including the money to reach their goals. One of the easiest ways to decide what you want is to ask a friend to help you make a list. And this is a very simple exercise, and I recommend you do it soon. Find a friend and have them ask you, what do you want? What do you want for about 10 to 15 minutes while they write down your answers. You'll find that your first ones are going to be not that profound. In fact, most people usually hear themselves saying, I want a Mercedes, I want a big house in the ocean, and so on and so on. But by the end of the 15 minutes exercise, the real you will begin to speak, and you're going to hear yourself hearing like, I want people to love me. I want to make a difference. I want to be significant in my field. Whatever it is, it's going to be the true expression of your heart. So this is a quick exercise you can do with a friend, and then help your friend out too. Trade places after and have them write their own list. But to really create your definite list, I want you to turn to the page in your workbook and find an exercise called the vision exercise. This exercise will help you decide what you want to be, do, or have in the 7 major areas of your life. The vision exercise is also located in your workbook. This is an exercise you will do privately, just on your own. Start by putting on some relaxing music and sitting quietly in a comfortable environment where you won't be disturbed. Then close your eyes and ask your subconscious mind to give you images of what your ideal life will look like if you were living it exactly as you wanted it. Visualize your life in 7 key areas: your career and profession, your finances, your recreation and free time, your body and physical health, your relationships, your personal growth, your community work. As you go through the exercise, you'll be defining what you want to be, do, or have in each of these 7 areas. The workbook has ideas, prompts, and memory joggers in each section to help you think through your ideal life. But don't go by what's in the workbook. Go inside and see what your subconscious mind is telling you. And you should be the ultimate source of your ideas. Even if you don't have the workbook with you right now, let's do a little bit of this exercise. Let's practice a little bit. Close your eyes right now and begin to breathe deeply. Take another deep breath and another. Now imagine you're in your ideal home environment. Where is it located? What is the view outside the window? What are the colors of your main living areas? What kind of decor or art objects do you have in your room? Is there music playing in the background? How do you feel as you stroll through the rooms of your ideal home? Now come back slowly and open your eyes. What you just did is an example of the vision exercise you'll be doing later in your workbook. It takes time. Please don't rush it. And if you don't immediately see the images of the different areas of your life, that's perfectly okay. Don't worry. It still works. Just as long as you're thinking about it and feeling what you want for yourself, that's all it counts. Let your mind wander a little bit and dream a little bit. When the ideas come to you, write them down in the workbook. Many people set aside an evening to do this exercise, so tonight after this webinar, it's a great time to get started in this lengthy exercise. It is an important exercise because you will use this to build your goals, to figure out what you want to do and create the life of your dreams. Okay, so here's some really good news. Those wants that you are going to identify in this vision exercise, you can get them all. You can achieve them all. Be sure of that. In fact, for most everything we want, someone else has already done it, created it, owned it, or achieved it. So there's not much that you want anymore that is so lofty and so complicated that you cannot accomplish it. But the key here to getting what you want is step 3 in the formula that I introduced at the beginning of this webinar. And it is to set goals around the things that you want to be, do, or have. And how do you set goal? By writing it down. And you have to write it down in such a way that is very specific and measurable. That is someone outside of you, when you achieve your goal, they can know that you already achieved it. Let me give you an example. If you said, I want to own a house at the beach someday, that's a nice dream or desire that you have. But to make it into a specific and measurable goal, you need more information. And you need to state it in a way with certainty that you're going to achieve it. For example, I will own a 4,000 square foot house at Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, California by midnight, April 30th, 2025. Do you hear the difference? The second version of your goal tells your brain exactly what you want to achieve, not just a big dream and hope. If you want to retire early with millions of dollars invested, for example, state the exact amount and the day that you want to retire. As part of the vision exercise in the workbook, you will be turning all your wants and dreams into specific, measurable goals that you can begin working on achieving. That's exercise number 4 in the workbook. And here's a bonus idea. Why not create a minimum goal, a target goal, and an outrageous goal? Whatever you write down for your specific and measurable goals, set 3 different levels that you can achieve. Let's say you want to build a large savings account and get out of debt. A minimum goal will be putting together $1,000 in an emergency fund in the next 30 days. A target goal might be to save about 3 to 6 months of living expenses in the next 8 months. And an outrageous goal might be to pay off all your consumer debt and even your mortgage in the next 7 years. The outrageous goal is always something that will just blow your mind if you achieve it. And your target goal is usually something within your capabilities. And your minimum goal is something you're almost guaranteed to reach, but it gets you moving into taking actions where an outrageous goal may seem a little bit overwhelming to even get started. what happened with this minimum target optimum formula is that most people will start with the minimum and then they get motivated and end up reaching their target goal very easily. Have you ever said, I'm just going to go to the garage and throw away all these old dishes? And then the next thing you know, you clean up the entire garage and even call a local charity and haul away a ton of stuff you have there. It was just a matter of getting you started. While goal setting is an important step to achieving what you want, most of goals that we tend to set are on improving our life at the moment. For example, get the house painted, finish my sales report, clean out the laundry room, lose 20 pounds. But what if instead you focus on one single goal that will up-level everything you do, from your career to your career network, your income, to your lifestyle? Wouldn't that goal be worth pursuing with passion? Wouldn't that be something worth to focus on a little bit each day so you can achieve it? Think about it. If you were an independent sales professional and knew that you can get substantial bonus commission, even a promotion, if you landed a certain number of customers, wouldn't you work night and day to achieve that goal? Or if you're a stay-at-home mom and your entire lifestyle and finances would change by earning a little extra money, like $3,000 a month, wouldn't you pursue every possible opportunity for side work or even create your own side business to achieve that goal? That's what I mean by a breakthrough goal. Something that changes your life, brings you to new opportunities, gets you in front of the right people, and up-levels every activity, relationship, or group that you're involved in. Can you take a few seconds right now and think, what might be that single breakthrough goal for you? Don't worry if you can't think about it right now. There's an exercise in the workbook that will help you decide how to do it. But for the purposes of this webinar, whether you believe you can achieve it or not, think of one single change you can do, whether in your career, business, lifestyle, or relationship, that will boost you to the next level. Is it landing a promotion, changing jobs, expanding your business, finding your soulmate, qualifying for an award, going back to school, moving across country, retiring early? Whatever it is, take the time later to think about it and go to the exercise number 5 in the workbook, and it will help you figure out what that goal is. I want to finish our discussion on goal setting by talking about a technique that will help you achieve major goals in record time. It is a way to get your brain focused on assembling the resources, people, money, and circumstances needed to bring about everyday goals, and especially your breakthrough goal. It is called affirmations. Affirmations are vividly detailed statements of you living, working, and enjoying as if you have already achieved your goals. Affirmations help the brain focus on bringing about your heartfelt desires. For example, an affirmation could be, I am happily depositing my first $100,000 royalty check as a best-selling author. Another affirmation is, I am joyfully receiving the company's top sales award. How do affirmations work? Well, scientists now know that the brain is a goal-seeking organism. If you give it a compelling, colorful, crystal clear image of what you want, it will work night and day to create the opportunities, contacts, resources, and circumstances needed to achieve that vision. In fact, the brain has a special function called a reticular activated system that filters through the millions of impressions, images, messages, and thoughts it processes each day and passes through your conscious mind a specific information that will help you reach your goals. For example, let's say you are thinking about speaking at your industry convention as a way of boosting your career. Then immediately you remember, oh my God, I met the National Education Director last month at a trade show. And that's your reticular activated system bringing you ideas and contents that can help you achieve your goal. Reciting your affirmations frequently throughout the day actually focus your brain on those goals that you want to achieve. Writing them down in index cards, note cards, your smartphone, at the bottom of your bathroom mirror, or in any other place that you see frequently, that will help your brain to focus on your most important goals. My best advice is to write them all out in specific, measurable goals in 3 by 5 cards. Then review the cards in the morning when you first wake up, and then again at night before you fall asleep. You don't have to know how to accomplish the goal. Just keep visualizing yourself in the future if you already achieve it, and the opportunities will come up. It is also powerful to add colors, sounds, emotions, and other sensory aspects to your visualization time. As you review these cards, try to experience the feeling of confidence as if you already done your goal. We're continuing with the previous example as you have your deliver that keynote address at your industry annual conference, or smell the scent of cinnamon rolls baking at your bed and breakfast hotel that you just opened, or the sound of the waves breaking at the senior executive retreat in Hawaii that you're at. Feel the joy that you're living your dream, your career, your professional accomplishment, anything. Just feel how it will feel once you reach it. The key here is repetition. The workbook includes detailed guidance on how to write these powerful affirmations using your goals in the previous exercises that you will be doing. So don't forget about it. Go to exercise number 6 and learn how to do affirmations. This is a great way of accomplishing your goals. Of course, we come to the most important step in the original 4-part formula I introduced at the beginning of this webinar. It is step number 4. Take action on your goals. Sometimes our biggest life goals seem so overwhelming that we often decide to put them all together to the side until we say to ourselves, well, once I have more time, more focus, more money, more manpower. We rarely see our goals as a series of small tasks. But in reality, breaking down a goal into smaller tasks and accomplishing them in a few at a time is precisely how you reach the largest of goals that you have. By breaking down your goal into bite-sized pieces and baby steps, you can begin accomplishing the small tasks that you have determined will lead you to reach the bigger goal. But be aware, this is very important. Preparing to move forward is not the same as taking action itself. In other words, preparation, research, planning, getting it perfect, these are all areas where people get bogged down and never really actually start taking action. They're too busy getting ready. But one way I recommend you actually start to take action on your goals is something I call chunking it down. For example, if you had a target goal of saving up 3 to 6 months of living expenses in an emergency fund, what steps could you take to pull that money together in the next 8 months? Could you determine the amount of money per month you will need to save? Identify what part of your income are you going to save? Is it your bonus? Is it your holiday hours? Make a list. Maybe the next step, you can make a list of unseen items you could sell so you can make up for that money. Or do you need to create a bank account where you save this money and don't touch it? Those steps are all things that you could do in just one day, and in fact, probably in one afternoon. By making a list of what needs to be done, you're effectively chunking down all of the tasks needed to make your bigger goal achievable. Which leads me to a helpful strategy for taking action, and that is practicing something I call the rule of 5. The rule of 5 simply means that every day you will do 5 specific things that will move your goal towards completion. Bigger goals might take longer, but the rule of 5 still applies. Do 5 things every day until your goal is achieved. Take buying a house in Hawaii, for example. That is a really big goal, but chunking it down and doing 5 things still applies. You have to, for example, you have to find out where the best locations there you want to live, decide which island you want to live in, find out how much homes cost there, determine how much money you'll need to save, research where you can get the finance for this, decide if you will get furniture and where you're going to get it. If there's going to be repairs, is there going to be any decorating? Do you have to create a budget? And so on and so forth. Once you decide all these things and chunk each large goal into small steps, you can actually begin taking action on these steps. 5 steps daily will take you there. Slowly but surely, you'll get there. And that's the game plan we're talking about here for achieving every single goal that you have in your life. It's always the same. You can achieve a very impressive goal just by breaking them down and taking it a step at a time. There's something that hinders people. I apologize. I have this cold that is getting in the way. Do you think there's something that hinders people from taking action? Of course, one of the things that keep people from taking action is the feeling that they cannot accomplish even the smallest of baby steps, that they don't feel confident, and that they feel overwhelmed by the sheer amount of things that they need to do. And a third is that if they have to ask someone to help them, that is terrifying to them. Well, let's address these obstacles one at a time. I'm actually going to start with the second one, that I mentioned, which is people often feel overwhelmed by the amount of things they have to do. Most of us have incompletes and messes everywhere in our lives, in our households, offices, relationships, families, finances, and in other major areas of our lives. We got overflowing closets, broken down screen doors, and 6 years worth of tax and paperwork that we haven't filed. We have fights with our siblings that haven't been resolved, nagging health conditions we need to be ignoring, and so on and so on. We have incompleted tasks and messes that we haven't cleaned up everywhere. So one way to start feeling overwhelmed is by cleaning up these messes and incompletes. It is especially important to handle this incompletes because of what psychologists call attention units. We have very small amounts of attention units in our life. Actually, we only can handle, according to science, we can only handle 7 things at one time. Beyond that, it's impossible. So when you have a cluttered desk and you're constantly seeing all these papers and unanswered letters and 3,000 emails in your inbox, these are all attention units that are taking your focus away from doing the things that you want or need to do in order to accomplish your goals. So look over they distract you. You look over your mental to-do list and think, oh my God, I have to go do that. I have to answer the emails. I should put that away. I need to answer that. I need to call my mom, and so on. The more incompletes you have in your life, the more your focus is going to go everywhere. It's going to get fractured and it's going to get scattered. The other reason it's important to clean up your messes and incompletes is that doing so builds self-confidence and self-esteem. When you have a lot of incompletes in your life, subconsciously or consciously, you keep judging yourselves as incompetent, incapable, because we haven't completed them. Every time you look at these messes, they're reflecting back to you, you aren't handling me. We're usually afraid to handle them, or we don't know how to handle them. And this fear comes from lack of knowledge or feelings of incompetence. But by handling these incompletes, we can get more time in our lives to focus on those things that we really want to achieve, like our goals and our dreams. So take time this week and make a list of all your messes and incompletes. Put them on paper or on your computer, whatever's easier for you. Walk through your entire house, note things room by room. Go through the stack of bills and find anything that is not handled yet. And this includes relationships with your families and friends that are in bad shape. Once you have this in a list, you sit down and prioritize them, and then tackle one a month or one per quarter. You don't have to think about all the others all the time anymore. Don't give the attention to them, because now you know they're in a list, so you're not going to forget about them, and they're going to get handled in the order of importance. Handling incompletes and messes boosts your confidence and creates available attention span in your life to tackle these 5 things that we talked about earlier that will help you reach your goals and dreams. But let's address the roadblock that keeps people from taking action on their goals. And that is lack of confidence when asking somebody else to help them with their goal. Asking for help is still a challenge for most of us. Why are people so afraid to ask? And the reason is we're afraid to ask for several reasons. Looking needy, looking foolish, looking ignorant, but mostly we're afraid of experiencing rejection. We're afraid of hearing the word no. The sad thing is that if we don't ask, we're actually rejecting ourselves in advance. We're saying no to ourselves before anyone else has a chance to. But here's an illustration to think about. This is very important because when I learned this, it really opened my mind to be okay with asking, and even if somebody says no. So here's an example. If you apply to Harvard and you don't get in, you were not in Harvard before you applied to Harvard. Life did not get worse for you. And think about it. You spend your whole life not going to Harvard and doing okay. So somebody telling you it did not matter, it did not make the situation worse. It just kept it the same. No harm done. Now, there's specific ways of asking in order for you to get a yes, or it's more likely for you to get a yes. And I'm going to talk to you about them right now. There's about 6 tips for that. Number 1, ask if you expect to get it. Ask with a positive expectation. Ask from a place that you have already been given it. It's a done deal. Ask as you're expecting a yes. Number 2, assume you can. Don't start with the assumption that you cannot get it or that you're going to get a no. If you're going to assume you can get that upgrade. Assume that you can get that table by the window. Assume that you can get that return without a sales slip. Assume that you can get a raise or that promotion. Don't ever assume against yourself. Number 3, ask someone who can give it to you. Ask the qualified person. Determine for yourself, who can I ask or who can I speak to get this accomplished? Who is authorized to make the decision? Who do I have to speak to get whatever it is I need? Number 4, be very clear and specific. Too many people are walking around asking for more money, more love, more help around the house, more recognition of work, more of everything. But they're not being specific. What is it that you want? Do you want enough money to retire? Do you want $20? Be specific. Do you want to go on a date night twice a month? Do you want the kids' bedroom to be picked up every Friday? The laundry done every Saturday morning? If you're not sure of the specifics, before asking, do the research of what do you need, what do you specifically want, and then ask for it. Number 5, ask repeatedly. Never, ever, ever give up. Whenever we ask others to participate in the fulfillment of our goals, some people are going to say no, because they might have other priorities, other commitments, and they will have the reasons not to participate. It is not a reflection on you. Just get used to the idea there's going to be a lot of rejection along the way. The key here is not to give up. When someone says no, you say next, which brings me to number 6. Ask someone else. Remember, there are over 6 billion people on the planet. Someone else has enough authorization, is skilled enough, knowledge enough, emotionally invested enough, or otherwise capable of saying yes to you. Don't get stuck in your fear. Move on to the next person, and then the next and the next until you connect with the right person to help you. It is a numbers game. Someone out there is going to say yes to you. We have come to the end of today's webinar, but I want to close with two things. Number 1, I want you to choose right now one thing you will commit doing to creating that future that you deserve and you want, starting tonight. Whether it is to complete that decide what you want exercise, or write your first 3x5 affirmation cards, or create your goals, or maybe it is handling a difficult or challenging situation. Whatever it is, make a mental commitment right now and share it with the group or with a friend. Remember, when we share our goals, it is more likely to be achieved. Secondly, one of the things I really enjoy doing is coaching and advising people in achieving their dream lives and setting goals and taking action, just like the seminar that we've been going through. This webinar and the workbook that you saw, it's just one little thing that I do with my clients. So I really would like to close with an invitation to contact me for any help that you need. It could be if you have questions, if you need a goal that you need to achieve. I know sometimes it's difficult to find a friend or family member to work with these life-changing concepts. They aren't always supportive, and sometimes they throw even roadblocks at yourself. But here's where I can help. I'm an outsider and a coach, and I'm objective, and I've been helping people reach their goals for years. So contact me. If you need help, here I am. My information's on the slide. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me on today's webinar. It has been great. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope to hear from you soon. Have a wonderful day. Bye.